25 years on, I think it's much harder to define what constitutes street styles and subcultures. Also, at the time, we did know that subculture was the appropriate word for what we were doing, but for various reasons in the press office and things, it became called street style. But now I think they are two very distinct things. But, you know, when youth subculture started in the post-war period, on the whole, you had the prevailing fashion, which was rigid, and the subcultural expression was either, like the Teddy Boys, parodied elite fashion, or it was the antithesis of it. And then as you move through the 60s and 70s, you have maybe 3 or 4 of some subcultures, but it wasn't hard to articulate them. And the concluding part of the exhibition was developed by Temple Williams, who was one of the co-curators, and working with a really good photographer called Gavin Fernandez. And they called it, I think, StreetStyle now. And they assembled looks from young designers, what Gavin did, and photographed them. And in some ways, it almost actually did predict what's happening today. When I was at art school, there were clearly defined subcultures. You know, you were a punk, a goth, a new romantic, or you were something very, very different. But you could identify someone's subcultural identity by the clothes they wore. And not least because of the internet now, it's very difficult because things can't happen underground, because the minute they happen, it's news. So I think where I see subcultures today is actually quite often much, much older people, and I can look at someone and think, you used to be a teddy boy. Because even if he's wearing normal clothes, there will be something, the style of his hair, maybe shoes, there's something that you can still see. So there's the legacy of that generation of 50s, 60s rockers, punks that you can still articulate. Today, I mean, I'm much older, but I don't think I could go and walk around Soho and identify specific subcultures. But also, today street styles become much more entwined with sort of consumer culture. So, you know, I know it is, but I find it really hard to accept that, you know, for instance, people who are obsessed with Supreme clothing, it's a street style. But it was only when I went and looked at the shop and saw people hanging around on the street outside and waiting to be let in that I suddenly realised there is a culture of, in the same way that the Teddy Boys hung around on the street. But yeah, it's different.